Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe and I'm joined today by, look at you, eh? It's his prom coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen. So Jay's here in his big suit with his, Kleenex in there and all that sort of stuff. We're here for Stretford Paddock Live. We're going to be looking at Sancho. We're going to be looking at Harry Kane, who has been linked. I mean, I say everyone in Europe, pretty much everyone in Manchester are the key hotspots at the moment. We're also going to be looking at centre-backs, Varane, looking like a key target for Manchester United. I mean, I don't know how we can move on until we've addressed the elephant in the room. Tell me what's going on here, Jay. Why do you look so fucking fantastic?
That's what's been going on. Joel
Excuse
Smith.
me, I've got...
That's what's coming to you,
What's
baby.
That, what's that then?
That is a media pass.
Is it?
Yeah. Been doing a bit of media work.
Have you?
Yeah.
Working the media, do you?
Working a bit of the media, you know how it is. You may not have heard this, but I don't like to talk about it, but
Right.
I'll mention it now just for the sake of explanatory.
That's a word.
Yeah, it is. Look it up. I am a multi-award-winning journalist.
Right.
And as such, I was invited to a press event this evening where this guy called Sir Alex Ferguson was kind of there, his premiere of his documentary, and I got to talk to him.
You got to interview Sir Alex Ferguson?
Interview Sir Alex Ferguson, and we're kind of going to be putting that up on the channel tomorrow.
Interview with Sir Alex Ferguson coming up on Stretford Paddock tomorrow.
Yes. And it's so hard for me not to just put it up now because I want to, but we've got to edit it.
And do you know the best thing as well is?
We've just got to put it up.
Jay wasn't even wearing that for the awards or for the event.
He
put this on afterwards because he's so happy.
Yeah, and then went and got dressed. I put a blazer on to go meet Sir Alex and a jumper.
Because he's a new man.
You don't just turn up in your bloody trackies.
In your gazelle.
Well, I've got me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so you can see the top half. I don't know if Cam can do this. Cam, can you just for a second,
I do look a little bit like...
Cut to Jay's camera and then pan down.
Some people may remember Boys to Men.
Boys to Men.
And this is like the Manchester version of Boys to Men.
Here's Jay's outfit.
Apologies, people. We will get into the transfer.
So Jay's outfit, meeting Sir Alex Ferguson, and then it's the jeans, and finally, it's the gazelles, and he stood in his COVID-safe box. So there you go. Jay is premiere ready. Look at this. Fantastic. Well done, Jay. Honestly, we're so proud of you here at Stretford Paddock. And if the bottom half matches the top half one day, you'll be a real man then, won't you? You look great, though. You do look really good.
Thank you. Thanks, you. And you said a nice thing, you said before, in the summer, I wouldn't have been able to get out of button short, and you're actually right. I couldn't. Yeah. But I'm back to my fighting weight. So, yeah, that's to look forward to. And forgive me, I'm a bit away with everything tonight because I'm still getting over it because I've never had the pleasure of interviewing Sir Alex Ferguson before. I've done a couple of press conferences where I didn't ask a question, didn't get to. But I've never interviewed a great man, so it was a magical moment for me because kind of made my life a little bit better for 20 odd years. So yeah, very special moment, and I'm looking forward to watching it again.
I'm very happy for you, Jay, honestly. I'm really happy.
Wow. We've all been living a dream a little bit lately, haven't we, Joe? Yeah. We have a little bit.
You get to interview Sir Alex Ferguson. I get to work with you.
Exactly.
So everyone's had a little dream come true in recent months. So let's get into some proper stories then.
Yes, let's get...
grandstanding glare by Jay Matic.
I won't refer to it anymore. Should we get into some transfer stories?
Go on.
Jules Koundé, you like a bit of him, don't you?
Hello.
Yes. I need to find it. Yes, there it is. I found the story.
Asked.
Right. Man United have asked, in inverted commas, about Koundé deal. Yep. Now, me and producer Cam, in our professionalism, we saw this. Well, he saw this story in MEN and he sourced it, and we went deeper than obviously the Manchester Evening News because, let's face facts, they haven't spoke to anyone associated with Jules Koundé. They've just got it from somewhere else. Yeah. And it seems this was reports out of Spain. Yeah. And it's sort of saying here that, if I can find the bit where it talks about Manchester United. Yes. So he's got suitors, it says here, and the latest news about the attempts by Koundé link him to Manchester United. The English club asked the price, and his agent basically, and whoever's in charge of the deal, demanded no less than 65 million euros. Ooh. So we've been making inquiries according to the reports coming out of Spain, and we've been told 65 million euros, which kind of makes sense in a lot of ways, because I think that if you are going to sign him, you're not going to pay Harry Maguire prices for him.
No.
I think you can get him as well. What are you smirking at?
Just still got your wristband on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know when like students do that, don't they? Like kids wear the wristbands from festivals and stuff. Yeah. I'll wear my wristband that said, yeah.
Do you know people do that thing where it's like...
test and was allowed to interview Sir Alex
Ferguson. Oh, you did do a COVID test before. Anyone who's worried about the health of Sir Alex Ferguson, Jay was in here just before we filmed the preview.
I had to do a COVID test.
You did a COVID test.
Here, and then shown that I'd done a test there, and then I had to go there and did the temperature thing. Also, I took with me my card to say that I've been vaccinated twice because I was just so paranoid. Yeah. And I wore a mask, and we were social distance for the interview, so you'll see. There was no risk-taking going on there.
No.
And rightly so, because, you know what I mean? You're not being that guy.
No.
Seriously.
So Ferguson has got COVID and so has Jay.
Yeah, the day Jay interviewed him.
We're not having that.
Yeah, no,
Do you know
we're
how
not
people... do you know how people have it where they, I'm never washing my hand again because I shook hands with, the Pope or whatever?
Yes.
I heard a cheeky little rumour that because it was a long mic, you didn't actually get to touch Fergie, did you?
No, I was
I heard it's true that you're never going to wash your muff again.
Hey!
Is that true? Give us a fiver. Give us a fiver.
I've still got it. Yeah, it's there. You're right.
See, look, he was sucking the juice out of that before, weren't you? Yeah. Trying to get a bit of Fergie spit out of it. Smell it. What's it smell like?
Success.
Of course it does.
Of course it does. No, it's mad though because I know what I keep going on about.
Keep going on about it.
There was a bit where he was laughing because I asked him about the 1991 European Cup final. You know me.
That was meant to be a joke, an internal.
Well, he liked it because he was getting asked about his documentary. He's getting asked about all his successes, and no one asked about that one, which is the most important one in my opinion.
Right.
And it also led to my next question about next week's Europa League final. So clever thinking.
Always thinking.
So and then it was a bit where he was like laughing and that, and I was like, this is the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah.
Apart from the kids being born, of course, and meeting my missus.
You went, can I have your number?
Yeah. Can I? He just wanted to hug him, but you can't.
One of my mates fancies you.
You're not
can
allowed.
I have your number?
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was mint. And if you've not checked out the documentary, Never Give In, that is the premiere tonight, so that's available. I think. Just go and have a look at that. Anyway, back to Jules Koundé.
Yep.
Do you want him?
I'd have him. I think I'd take him. I think we could do with a centre-back. Just numbers-wise, if nothing else, we're struggling for numbers. We're a bit light on the ground in terms of centre-backs. And that's really shown itself with Maguire being injured, hasn't it? We need another centre-back that we can rely on. We need at least 3, ideally 4 centre-backs that at any given moment will be available to play for United. Yeah. Because if Maguire's injured or, essentially, if he does anything than have superhuman sort of injury avoidance abilities like he has had for the last 2 years, we're shit. And that's not to knock Tuanzebe or Bailly or whoever, but we need people who are reliable physically, who are very good at defending, and who can play more than sort of 15 games a season or 10 games a season like those two tend to play. So I think we need someone like that. And Koundé seems to be the sort of young, promising centre-back figure in that mould who can play the ball well, carries the ball forward very well as well. Because that's I think that's an underrated part of Maguire's game, or not necessarily underrated because I know people know it, but maybe overlooked part of his game because people either just don't reference it or say that it doesn't exist. But he takes the ball forward so well for a centre-back. Lindelof's got maybe a slightly better passing range than Maguire, but Lindelof can't carry the ball up the pitch 20, 30, 40 yards like Maguire can. Maguire can go past a man and get almost up to the edge of the 18-yard box quite regularly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that's something that Koundé can do very well. He can carry the ball up the pitch well. He's good on the ball. He's got good dribbling, good awareness, and can take the ball up. And I think having 2 players like that next to each other offers something really different to what most teams are doing. The fact that, no matter who it is, they can just take the ball through the opposition's attack and midfield and then start attacks themselves. I think that'd be something that Ole would definitely be looking out for with the quick sort of counter-attacking, speed-based attacks that we do tend to have. So I think it'd be a very good signing for that reason. Let us get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about Jules Koundé. Do you know a lot about him? I know obviously we've seen him up against United. Also, would you agree with Joe about sort of Harry Maguire and the other options we've got as well? I think sometimes we are a little bit harsh on some of our defenders. One thing that you said in the past, Joe, that sort of stays with me when it comes to centre-backs is the fact that our centre-backs are potentially good enough to win a title if they had the right midfield in front of them. Yeah, I think that you're right with that one. Yeah. I've thought about that a lot, and I think that people go, well, they're not. Victor Lindelof's not a title-winning defender. And I think if you go back over the last 10 years and look at teams that have won the title, Victor Lindelof is as good as some of those centre-backs. He really is. And people might... Otamendi won a title with City. Yeah. I'd say Victor Lindelof's a better defender than Otamendi was that season. Robert Huth and/or Wes Morgan won a title with Leicester. Did Michaelis win a title? I'm not sure. I think he might have done that. I think he was the one in the season where he was too busy getting his ass handed to him by Marcus Rashford. Yeah. But the point is, you're right. City had like a centre... if you look at who's alongside Virgil van Dijk, whether it's Matip or Gomez, they're probably on a similar level to Victor Lindelof. And I know scouts will be going, oh, you've lost it talking shite. But it's true. You've just got
one of the, it pains me to say it, best centre-backs on the planet next to them. So, Maguire and Lindelof ain't that bad. No. It's not, and I think that if you had a really good central defensive midfielder in front of him, then I think we could get away with it. And I think if we have a choice, if it's a binary choice between a centre-back and a CDM, we should go with a CDM.
Yeah.
Because I think as well, you could get Koundé and he could come in and he could be as good as Eric Bailly.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I know you can say, well, he could be a lot better and he could play every game and but I don't know if that for me is a massive step up. I just don't know. And I think, okay, there's an argument, well, City go out and they buy all these centre-backs, they buy all these full-backs, they buy, you know, all these options. You look at the Scousers, when they got some injuries, they fell apart. We need options, we need to buy more. I get all that, but we have to be realistic about these parasitic owners and the fact that they ain't going to go out and go, here you go, centre-back, central defensive midfielder, striker, right winger, anything else? Yeah, no worries. That ain't going to happen.
For me, the main worry with Koundé is that he's unproven. Yeah. Now, if we can move on to our next story, that is where you sort of remove some of that doubt that, you know, is he good enough?
Yes.
Because the next story is that United have been linked with Varane, who is one of the most proven centre-backs in the world. Romano, again today, is coming out and saying he is a priority of Manchester United. 60 million or so, 65 million, similar numbers we're talking about with Koundé for different reasons. Varane's only got 1 year left on his deal. I think it's 1 year left on his deal. Maybe isn't quite so happy with Real Madrid. And one thing I've seen is a lot of people talking about the Ramos situation a few years ago.
Yeah.
And how when it was Van Gaal, wasn't it? Who was the manager at the time. And it looked like we were trying to get Ramos in. It looked as though he was interested in a move. There was all these reports, Ramos, you know, interested in United move, Ramos willing to join Manchester United, and then he signed a new deal. So now when we see these links to Varane, everything on social media, everyone that you talk to is saying, oh, he's just doing it to get a new deal, which he might be, because of course footballers do that. But here's the difference. When Ramos did what he did, they had Ronaldo, who was the best player in the world at the time. Yeah. They had a 29 or 28-year-old Modric. They had a 27-year-old Kroos. They had a 27-year-old Marcelo, etc., etc., etc. Benzema was 27. Like, all of their best players who are now in their mid-30s were in their late 20s, in their peak. There was no reason for Ramos to leave that team. Yeah. They were a successful team, winning, or in the process of winning, 4 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
This isn't the same Real Madrid team that was doing that. This is a Real Madrid team that is aging from top to bottom, except basically Vinicius and a couple of other young lads who aren't that good. And then all their star men, all those players who I mentioned before, have either left or on the bench in the case of Marcelo, or are just in their mid-30s now and aren't getting any better. There's a reason to leave Real Madrid now that there wasn't then. They aren't the best team in the world anymore. Raphaël Varane can maybe get more money somewhere else, has a better chance of winning trophies somewhere else. I just think it's not quite as cut and dry that he would even want to stay at Real Madrid now like it was with Ramos at the time. Do you see what I mean with the difference? And I think people are just sort of conflating the two things, going, well, Ramos did that, and so Varane must be. The situations at that club are so different now to where they were at the time that Ramos had his sort of dalliance with joining Manchester United.
No, it's a great point as usual. And also, you know, look at the sort of, it's weird. Spanish football is in a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And we've been here before and you've gone, they find a way. It's what they do in Spain. But you've spoken about it and you've got a whole raft of players who were amazing and are now reaching the end of their careers.
Yeah.
You've got financial problems because of the pandemic as well, that the likes of which the Spanish clubs have never had to deal with. No. That's why Florentino Perez is so keen for the Super League and refuses to give up on the idea, because they need that £1 billion investment or whatever. They need it because, you know, Barcelona as well, not just Real Madrid, are in deep, deep shit. Yeah. Now, the only reason Barcelona are getting away with it is because the banks ain't going to call in them loans on Barcelona because it's Barcelona Football Club. If you did that, it'd cripple them, and then basically, you know, the world falls apart for those banks as well.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen. But they're in a real pickle. They've not got any money. In terms of Barcelona, they've already lost their golden generation. Messi's probably the only one who's left, and he's 35, whatever he is. He's on his way out. Real Madrid, you've just been through that team, and also the mess they're in. So
and the money they, sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
But the money that Real Madrid tried to spend the season before last in sort of restarting and rebooting and turning this team into the next generation, they spent on Jovic, and they spent on Mendy, who has made is a first-team player. They spent on Vinicius, who is a decent player, but is nowhere near the player he's replacing in Ronaldo. They spent it on, I can't even remember the rest of the players they spent. They spent essentially 300 million euros in one summer to reboot that whole team. And basically, other than Mendy, it's not really worked out on any of those players. So, like you said, the money-wise, they've tried to fix this problem by throwing money at it, and it didn't work, so far it hasn't worked.
You're right, I've just Googled it then. There was Militao, 50 million euros, Eden Hazard, Jovic, you mentioned, Mendy, you mentioned, Rodrigo, 45 million, Rainer, is it Rainier? Ranier, sorry, my pronunciation is shocking. I mean, these are all 50 million, 115 million euros, 60 million euros, 48 million euros, 45 million euros, 30 million euros, and it didn't work. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at Barcelona, and I just cannot get that image out of my head of, it's the Champions League semi-final, right? You've got Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele, 250 million quid worth of talent, I think, on your bench, and you've got Felipe Coutinho, who's £145 million signing, playing against you and bagging a brace. That is unprecedented. To see basically 400 million quid's worth of talent either sat on your bench or scoring against you. You can't run a football club like that. No. You can't. And it's like Barcelona have just got away with whatever they wanted to do because they've always had Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, PK. Like, that's your spine. So you can throw in a David Villa, or you can throw in a, a
Pedro or a Sanchez.
Sanchez, who flattered to deceive a little bit, doesn't matter, because we've always got that sort of spine of just world-classness going through the team. And, we saw at United, players come and go, but as long as you maintain that spine of just awesomeness, you're laughing. It's gone now. Do you know what I mean? You've only got the remnants of it in Messi, who's obviously still very, very good, talented, but it's not the same. So this idea, going back to the original point about why would Varane leave Real Madrid? He's probably leaving Real Madrid, if he does, at the right time. Because he's been there for the 4 Champions League wins, the 3 La Liga wins. He's been there as well when France have been successful and he's won a World Cup with them. He's also leaving still at a young age. He's not going out at 34. He's going out at 28. So he's going to get a big money move, a big signing on fee, a decent contract, and he could go and spend another 4 or 5 years somewhere else. Not, I've got a season left, I may as well go to California or whatever. So it makes a lot of sense. So people may look at it and go, no, he ain't leaving, but for the reasons you've said, there's a lot of sense. Toby Gosling in the Super Chat says, what do you think about Ezri Konsa? Looked pretty good this year. Also, Daniel H, welcome to the Academy. Ezri Konsa, the lad at Villa. I haven't seen a lot of him. I know Villa have had a very good season, haven't they? Really. And they have got a few players that, if you look at him, he's one of them, and then you can maybe argue Cash is another. Maybe McGinn, is it? And the obvious one, Jack Grealish. Possibly even Ollie Watkins. People are like...
Can be wasteful, but he
can be wasteful,
in the right
but
places,
if you look at his career trajectory, you could think that if he's got another level to go, because he has gone up and up and up, could he come to a bigger club and hit 25 goals a season? I'm not sure, but for me, with the Konsa thing, it feels a little bit like... It's almost like, is he much better than Tuanzebe? Like, you may say, well, he is, and also Tuanzebe's had injury problems and everything. But
I was agreeing with you, your point there, by the way. I wasn't saying yes, he is.
No, yeah, like, that is a question. It's like, is this a step up, or are you just getting a similar player on a similar level and spending money to do it? I'm not so sure, but it's definitely one worth thinking about, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was on... United have these lists, don't they? These massive lists. And it's
which I believe Varane and Koundé are both on, by the way.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone like Konsa on there. Get involved in the comments. Let me run through some of the comments rather than just reading the super chat. Someone else, Scrappy-Doo says Jay's well posh tonight. Darren Cox says Jay's bringing some class to the show. Yeah, just what
you know what? It's about time, actually. And I should have worn a suit. Instead I'm wearing some old fucking, happy-go-lucky bullshit. No. And you're stood over here looking like, I'll be honest, James Bond.
Thank you.
You look like James Bond.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? What would the title of the movie be if you were James Bond?
If I was James Bond, it would be the man who butchered my name.
Yeah, that is nice, actually.
That'd be it, wouldn't it, Because that's what I do to everyone's fucking name. Never mind the man with the golden gun. Someone says Jay's taking his lady friend out after this. Fortunately, I haven't got any babysitters. Otherwise I would. Someone's saying the bald eagle. Yeah, you've got
That's not bad.
Yeah, J Bond. You've set them all off here. Bames John, Lex Luthor. Yeah, someone else is saying. Darren Cox, thank you, saying something about football. Oh, hang on. The Mancalorian says Cherry Coke, shaken, not stirred. Very good.
That's nice.
Nice.
That's good.
Darren Cox says United did concede too many goals this season. More clean sheets needed.
Yes.
Yes, massively. Someone else asking a football-related question as well, which is very good, even though I've just lost it. Thomas Merrill says, would Dominic Calvert-Lewin be a more realistic and cheaper target? I think that's in reference to the fact that I may have sort of said about Ollie Watkins, maybe. I don't know. Well, no, I think that might be reference to the fact that people are talking about Harry Kane. We'll get on to Harry Kane later.
Yeah.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it seems to have cooled a little bit. There was a little bit of momentum behind this idea of him coming. I know this sounds really stupid, but about 3 months ago, people were up for it.
Yeah.
He was having a purple patch.
Yeah.
You looked at it, you thought, he's 24. I think it was 10 goals last season or whatever it was, or 13 goals. And now he's on at the time, he was on 10 goals this season. He's going to break that. He's going forwards. He's a different type of striker. He's more of your traditional number 9. We haven't got one of them. And now people are going, he went a big spell. I think he got 1 in 8 at one point. And people look at Cavani going, Cavani's still got miles left on the clock. Do we need Dominic Calvert-Lewin for what we'd pay for him as well? Because Everton would proper dig the reels in and say, we want Lukaku money.
Yeah.
So I just feel that the sort of the momentum behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin to United seems to have slowed down somewhat.
Yeah, I think he's good, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but I don't think he's that good. And I think if we signed him, obviously I would be, excited, and I'd look at the positive sides of it. I'd look at the goals he has scored. But this, and I know this was a thing that was thrown at Vardy for years. It's thrown at Kane for years, and eventually they just proved you wrong. And that is it a bit of a flash in the pan? Because he hasn't scored that many goals.
Just
and
continue
this season,
that
like
thought
I said,
while I do a little bit of an oogly.
Okay. He has long patches where he doesn't get many goals. He's a good player, but I just think, for me, United need to be spending that sort of money on someone who's proven. Someone like Kane, someone, obviously not Vardy now because he's too old, but these players get this thrown at them, and oftentimes they don't prove it wrong. Oftentimes it does turn out, well, you had a great patch and you can get 8 goals a season, but actually you're not really a top striker. No,
you make a good point, because if you look at his record, and he has, got better.
Yes, he has.
So,
his
and
first... he's not a bad striker. No. I'm not saying he's a bad player.
5 years ago or 4 years ago, 11 Premier League games, 1 goal. Fair enough. Obviously a youngster, sort of finding his feet. The next season, 32 Premier League games, 4 goals.
Yeah.
All right, progressing, getting more games, slightly more goals. Third season in the Premier League, 35 games, 6 goals. Not quite kicking on, but then he has his leap. 36 games, 13 goals. So it goes up to the point of, all right, this guy's got something about him. This season so far, 30 games, 16 goals. So again, it's gone up. Is he that player though? Is he that guy where you go, this takes us closer to Manchester City?
I think for the price you'd have to pay, I think you would have to say maybe not.
Yeah.
And I know it's been mentioned before, and we might get some stick for saying this, but sort of for the price, because let's just go rumoured price.
Yeah.
I don't know what this transfer would actually cost. That comes down
he's
to
24 years old
George
and only just turns,
he's young player,
so he's young.
Plenty to improve, I get that. But the rumoured price for him is 60 to 70 million. The rumoured price for Tammy Abraham is 20 to 30 million. And personally, for the price, I don't think you're getting too much of a difference. I think Tammy Abraham scores roughly the same amount of goals as him. I think he's done that for a couple of seasons, Tammy Abraham. I don't think he's a world-class player. But again, he's the same age roughly. He gets roughly the same amount of goals, and yet somehow you're talking a third of the price.
No, listen, I mean, the figure, the sort of the numbers, very, very similar. You look at Tammy Abraham when he was in the Championship 4 years ago with Bristol City, 41 games, 23 goals. Had a bit of a ropey one with Swansea, 31 games, 5 goals, although you could look at that and go, well, they were struggling.
They got relegated that season as well.
Villa, again, he's gone back there and banged him in. Well, not gone back there, sorry, gone back to the Championship on loan, 37 games, 25 goals. Was that the season Axel was there as well? I think it might have been. And then his 2 Premier League seasons, 34 games last season, 15 goals, which is great, that. It's a really good return, that. This season, not quite happened for him in the Premier League. 22 games, 6 goals. Yeah. But he's got, in all competitions, 32 appearances, 12 goals, which, it's...
Which isn't not, you can't say that isn't comparable to.
And also, he isn't first choice there. They brought in Werner, and Werner's the main man there. And he's obviously struggled. And also, they've still got Giroud, who gets the odd game.
And up until last week, when Jorginho scored his 7th penalty, whatever it was, he was their top scorer in the Premier League. So it's not as it's not as though someone else is getting 30 goals a season for them.
No.
And I'm not saying they're as good as each other. I think Calvert-Lewin is probably the better player overall. But I just think, for the price, I would go maybe spend the money elsewhere.
He's not my first choice.
No.
At all. At all. But if we got, say, a right winger, a CDM, and Sammy Abraham, if the right winger was, say we got, just fucking humour me, say we got Jadon Sanchez, and then, I don't know, as a CDM, maybe Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah? And Abraham. I'm not against that. No. What I am against is if our main signing is Sammy Abraham, 30 million quid.
Or if our main signing is Calvert-Lewin, and then we only get one of the other two, that's a problem for me.
That's it. So I think as well, you've got to look at it with Abraham or look at it with a striker. You're going to get another season out of Cavani. I think he's going to play a lot of games next season. And also, long term, I think Mason goes down the middle. Mm-hmm. So there's that element as well. So you just have to think about would that affect United's thinking, and not to forget the fact that the board are absolutely shite and won't spend loads of money unless they feel like they really, really have to. Talking of strikers,
here we go.
This bloke, I don't know if you've heard of him, plays for Spurs.
Yeah.
Talks to Gary Neville now and again. His name's Harry Kane.
NBA.
And if you look at this, there's some rumours going around here. United to offer Lingard plus Martial for Harry Kane. MBE, sorry, yeah. What's he getting MBE for?
Fucking penalties.
Penalties against Panama. And
Penalties against Panama. That's what it says on the actual form.
Literally drives round in a van round Britain, knocking on doors and giving people burgers.
Giving people pies.
Yeah, and pasties and that.
Yeah, like a sort of food-based postcode lottery.
Yeah, in between, like, at half-time as well, when he's at United, in between games.
He does, actually.
Like, in between, not even games, in between the halves. Mm-hmm. And he gets an MBE, and this guy just bangs in a couple of penalties and doesn't pass to Raheem Sterling in the semi-final. Oh, do you want one as well, Harry? Yeah. In fact, you can have yours first.
Yeah, that's exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah. Racial.
Yeah. When you...
It's not, by the way. It's not anything to do with racialism.
Jay just can't stop quoting The Office.
Racially. If I had my way, the place will be full of them. Anyway, so Harry Kane, forget about his gongs that he got from the royal family or whoever decides who gets MBEs. He's done this interview as well, Harry Kane. You can see there, there's two sides to this. First of all, there's this idea that we can offer the players that Lingard looks like he's going to go. Martial, is he going to go? Does Ollie still fancy him? Is this just one season where he's had a bad season? Or is this a trait with Martial where it's like one season where he's really good, another season where he's not quite as good? I know I'm going to upset loads of anti-Martial FC. I'm not saying that. I love him. I'm just asking a question.
They've been quiet recently.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard from Martial FC for a while.
I'm just asking that question, guys.
And then we saw that clip, didn't we, the other day, of throwback to that time Martial, turned what's his name? Diaz inside out. And it's literally just him knocking the ball past him. And then the clip cuts a second after because he lost it. It's like, I remember Martial FC. They were fun.
Do you realise, right, when Ruben Diaz wins Player of the Year, and our response is to show a clip where our player who's got 4 Premier League goals this season turns in and then loses it, that makes us look like scousers.
No, that makes us look fucking ace.
It does it though. Yeah. That's the sort of thing. Do you remember when it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka getting put on his ass by Firmino? Yeah. And if he actually played it longer, he gets up and blocks Firmino's shot, and they cut it. And so, like, look at our striker, losing the ball. Yeah. Like, that's what we've become. Why are we doing that? Like, tell you what, that'll show them.
Because he's not done much else this season, has he?
I know. I mean, I love Andy Martial. I just wish he'd score some more goals because I'm sick of getting these stats. Like, I saw a stat the other day that, is it Alisson's got as many goals away from home in the Premier League as Andy Martial? Or something
this season?
Yeah, this season, obviously. And I was like, fuck off. Like, what's this? Help me out, Tony. Yeah, I don't want to see this anymore. And the thing is, he's not rubbish. No. He's just not scoring enough goals this season. So hopefully he comes back from his injury, starts banging him in, shuts up all these critics, and I can get back to trolling Liverpool fans. Yeah. And I have to put with silly references to Alisson or playing clips of fucking Diaz getting turned a bit to counteract his Player of the Year award after he's just won the Premier League and before he goes to a Champions League final.
So Jay's feeling good about that. Here's the quote. I think there's definitely a conversation to be had. This is Harry Kane. It's a moment where I have to reflect and have a conversation with the chairman. He also said, and you can phrase this two different ways. This is an interview with Gary Neville. He also said, who knows? The chairman might want to sell me. And some people are seeing that as going, well, who knows? He might want to sell me anyway, cash in and get some money. But the way he says it makes me think he's basically saying, I want to be sold, and who knows, Daniel Levy might just agree with me. He's not saying, well, he might want to sell me. He's going, who knows, he might even want to sell me.
The thing is as well, like, it's how you read these quotes, and one of them, like you sort of said it there, was I never said I'd stay at Spurs, a crossroads moment, it's coming, Daniel Levy might want to sell me for 100 mil.
Yeah.
Right? Which, that's a bit odd, naming your price tag, or naming a price.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't often get that with a player. Even Ronaldo in his fucking only God can judge me type.
Well, I think in fairness to Harry Kane, if I'm remembering the bit
right,
correctly,
sorry, I'm just reading it off.
He kind of goes, Daniel Levy might want to sell me for 100, and then Gary Neville chips in and goes, I think it'd start with a 2, and they both kind of laugh.
Right, okay.
So he's kind of being like, it's more of a sort of a modest joke rather than going 100 mil. Who's your nearest bidder? 70. It's not. He's not like bidding himself off.
I know that.
If you'll pardon the expression.
Wow.
He's just talking about a theoretical fee, I think, but I know what you mean.
Ryan Mason sort of came out when he did a lap of honour in front of Spurs. You see the Spurs fans, can you just say that as well? You see where they stuck him for their gate?
Oh, up in the fucking sky, wasn't it?
I mean, that's just...
60 quid a ticket and all it was.
That's a piss. And then I seen some kid posting on Twitter, it was like, they told him to wait for this lap of honour and it sort of didn't happen or something, or it was very brief. And it was like, we've just been told to wait for half an hour to see this shit.
It's sad, isn't it?
Paid 60 quid. And, clubs have got to stop taking the piss out of fans, man. They really have. Kane to United, is it going to happen? Do you want him? How much is it going to happen for if it does happen?
If we can chip away at this fee, let's start at a fee we can all agree on for Harry Kane. I would say 130 million quid. When you put that in context of other people of his stature that have transferred before?
I have a rather outlandish theory about Harry Kane.
Go on.
That no one will agree with, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think Harry Kane could go for 90 million.
Really?
And I'll tell you why, because people right now probably, and I'll see him in the comments
going,
Jay's fucking put his suit on and thinks he's Bertie Big bollocks. He's talking utter shite as usual.
And that's just your missus.
Exactly, that's, Miss Man United in the comments. You can fucking sleep in the shed tonight, sunshine.
You can sleep in the shed and put your fucking little muff over your knob as a warmer in the shed, you dickhead.
Tell you what, get your mum to fucking raise 3 kids for you dickhead.
Get your muff out for the lads. Show me your muff just so we know we're not being sexist.
Yeah, we don't do that smut.
That's the muff that Sir Alex
Can I have my
Ferguson
single camera, please,
spoke into tonight. Let me smell it.
All right, don't sniff too much. You might take some of the Fergie off it.
I've got a bit on my nose. I've got a bit of Fergles on me.
I will get to these super chats as well because we made Joe been waffling.
Tell us why you think he can go for 90 million first.
Right, I have a theory. Right, he turns 28 in the summer.
Yep.
Yes, his injury record, whilst okay, and we've established this on previous live shows, isn't amazing.
He's had 6 ankle injuries in his career.
Yeah, and he can miss important parts of the season. You remember when Spurs got to that Champions League final where they fucking didn't turn up against the Scousers?
Yeah.
He missed a big chunk of that season, didn't it, towards the end?
Yeah.
And then he came back and he obviously wasn't fit.
No.
And they played him anyway because it's Harry Kane.
And then same thing last season. It was a hamstring rupture
that
basically kept him out for 4 months. He was going to probably miss the Euros, but didn't have to in the end.
So you buy Harry Kane if you're United or whoever. You pay 140 million, which is 120 million. You want him to spare your title campaign, yeah? You get to March and he's off for 2 months. And your team's built around him because that's what happens with a Harry Kane team. And the wheels sort of come off and that's the end of your title challenge. And you just sat in second again going, well, we wasted 120 million quid on a player who might have got us 30 goals this season, but we still finished second and we're not winning any trophies. That's one of the theories, right? So, okay, that's why I don't think he'll go for 120 million. He's still Harry Kane, he's still got lots of goals. So he's 28, slight question marks around his injury record. Also, how many clubs really have the money for him? Chelsea, possibly United, which is a big possibly with our owners. City, definitely, right? Chelsea, are they going to go all out and go for Harry Kane? I know they like to spend a lot of money and they have spent money. It's not a given that they'll go out and spend 100 million on Harry Kane. They've got, you might not rate him, but I think Tuchel does still think a lot of Werner, and he's sort of giving him this is your first season in the Premier League thing. You've been.
They also spent fucking 80 million on Havertz last season.
Yeah, and I forgot about him. Exactly. So you got Havertz, you got Werner. Yeah. There's still sort of thing there where they might think we don't really need to go out and go massive. Okay, City don't tend to, and this sounds odd, break the transfer record for players. They spend more money than anyone. I'm not fucking defending Manchester City's spending habits, believe me. Yeah. But they spend in the sort of 50 to 60 million pound mark. What they do with that is they do it a lot.
Yeah.
So they spend 50 or 60 million quid like 15 times over a 3-year period.
Yeah.
So there's your squad.
Yeah.
And it's all 60 million quid players. That's mint, thank you. Yeah? Whereas United will spend like 80 million, 20 million, whatever.
Yeah.
Right, so City is doubtful, and also Pep doesn't seem to like out-and-out strikers.
Yeah.
He didn't like Zlatan.
No.
He didn't even like Etsu.
No.
I know Etsu's a slightly different striker. He likes these sort of fucking almost attacking midfielder types, or like inverted wingers.
David Villa on one side, or Messi, or like
Gabriel
Sanchez,
Jesus.
Pedro.
Do you know what I mean? He likes them. Sterling. Yeah,
Gundogan.
Thank you. That's what he tends to like. So is he going to go out and say, right, well, let's break our transfer record, get Harry Kane, and let's adapt the way I play football, and I've always played football? I'm not so sure he is. Is Harry Kane going to go abroad? Do you see him at Madrid?
Well, they can't afford him.
We just said about their issues.
Madrid or Barca could afford him. PSG could afford him, but I don't see him moving to Paris.
Do they even want him? They've got Neymar. It looks like Mbappe might be signing a new deal. Yeah. Are they going to go out, right, well, we need to spend 150 million on that English guy? I don't even know if Harry Kane wants to go abroad. So you're looking at it and you're thinking, actually, who's going to go out and spend 120 million? So maybe Levy goes, all right then, let's temper our expectations a little bit. Let's go down to 100 million. Now, if you play a bit of chicken with Spurs, Harry Kane don't score in August, so let's just when's the transfer window end?
End of August.
So let's wait. Still no one's coming for him. He's got his 28-year-old. Looks like he's not going to go this summer, so the next time you sell him, he's got a year less on his deal as well. You're probably going to get less money. Then you go to Levy and go, right, I'll give you 90 million. I think he might take that. I do. I just think there's lots of ifs and buts and maybe, and I'll get into the comments in a minute because people are probably going, you fucking lost it. But I just think there's a potential there for Harry Kane to go for around 90 million. And now, that might not be United. That might be Chelsea who do that.
Yeah.
Chelsea could just do that and go, right, we weren't going to have him, but 90 million quid, and Levy fucking not panics, but goes, fuck it, I'll get 90 million quid for him now, or I'll get 70 million quid for him next season. And also, if I sell him for 90 million now, I can spend 50 million of that on a striker and keep some towards the stadium, which is what they are, Stadium FC. Before I get your thoughts on that, let me just get into some of the comments, because obviously there's a lot of super chats and stuff. Naresh Mulkunse, forgive me if I butchered that one, says, if we get Kane, I can easily see him get 30 goals a season. My concern is the 30 goals won't necessarily be on top of what we are scoring now. It might just be taking away goals from Bruno and Ed. It's a fair comment. Danny Shields has just upgraded his membership to the first team. Thanks a lot, Danny. He also commented, if the board were actually going to sanction the kind of money for Kane, I'd want Haaland. Spoilers, they won't. There's another point as well. If you're going to spend 120 million, 150 million on Kane, why not get an player 8 years younger for 150 million?
Because he's not as good.
Is Haaland not as good as Harry Kane?
The thing, right?
Fair enough.
And I'd like to.
I'm not going to argue with you. No, and you are right.
I see this argument a lot of like, well, get Haaland because he's younger. Well, he's younger, but he's not as good.
No.
Harry Kane got, 28 goals this season, 18 assists.
Can I counter that argument then?
Yeah.
Is Harry Kane at his ceiling where Haaland isn't?
Yeah.
So Haaland might be better next season. Harry Kane might be a little bit worse if his injuries catch up.
What are we paying for? Are we paying for potential, or are we paying for a player that can win us a league?
It was slightly.
I know, and that's an argument a lot of people put forward of, well, he's only 20, so he must get better. Well, that's not always the case. There are plenty of players who peak at 20. Michael Owen won the Ballon d'Or at 20. Go and ask. There's tons of them. And it's not the same level as Haaland, but Owen is comparable to Haaland because
Massively.
he won the Ballon d'Or across Europe. He was regarded
as one of the best strikers. If the Scousers would have sold Michael Owen at 20, if they'd have gone with cashing in, he'd have gone for the equivalent of what
which
Haaland
would have been about 40 odd million then.
He would have.
Yeah.
I think Lazio paid 6 million for first refusal on him when he was 18.
Yeah.
So that's not even you getting him. That's like you speak to us first.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't come to anything. Danny Shields also in the super chat says the wristband looks like a price tag and Joe's taking his young lad to get his first suit. I like that. I don't know if I've read this, but I'll read it again. Ian Hamilton says, if we didn't have to negotiate with Levy, I'd go for Kane, but Aggro talking to him is what makes me think it ain't worth it, just my opinion. I don't think Daniel Levy's a definite, problematic guy. I think he plays hardball, but I think he's a pragmatist. Yeah. I really do. Sam J says, Papa J, suited and booted, freshly shaved. Thank you, sir. Yeah. John Pablo says, congratulations, Jay. Great job, bud. Appreciate that, brother. Gary Turner says, I have a theory. Kane has asked for it to be done before the Euros because he knows Levy will want to bump up the price after a good tournament. That's a very good point. Does the narrative or does the price even change if Harry Kane smashes it in the Euros? My opinion is, I don't think anyone gives a fuck.
No.
He's already done it in an international tournament. He won the Golden Boot at the World Cup. I don't think you go, not sure about Harry Kane, and then he bangs in a load of goals.
No.
Against some players who might just be barely Premier League level, and you go, now we've got to get him.
The question marks over Harry Kane aren't his goal-scoring ability. No one is doubting Harry Kane's goal-scoring ability in 2021. The question marks over him are, as you said, he's in his prime, but he's not necessarily young anymore. 28 isn't a young player. It's a prime player that is a great time to buy someone. But when you think of resale value, in 3 years after having Harry Kane, you are certainly selling him for less or the same as what you bought him for.
That's another great point.
Resale value isn't going to be there. Yeah. The other thing that you have concerns are, as you said, are his injuries. Another thing to mention that you didn't mention that, almost goes without saying, a reason why his price might come down is because everyone knows he wants to leave. Everyone knows he wants to leave. He's basically come out and said he wants to leave. Everyone knows it. No one's there going, well, you're gonna have to pay a bit extra because he don't want to go. We know there is discontent with Harry Kane. We know he wants to leave Tottenham, which inevitably takes maybe 10% of his value off because it does.
Did you see that video of him last night? That's where he's like, you can see him saying, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
People looking at that, I don't think that means anything, by the way.
No.
I think players, and this is a big thing now, the latest thing is, when players have a spat with each other, or shout something, or roll their eyes, and you get all these fucking body language experts who've just, suddenly got a degree in psychology, going out, that means that they've fallen out for life. Or that means that he's had enough of Manchester and wants to go and live in Madrid. No, it doesn't. No. Players do all sorts of things during games. I've seen, some of the happiest players who've spent their entire career at a club losing their marbles in a league game that's fucking inconsequential. It doesn't mean that they want to go. So I don't look too much into that. But people are looking at certain things, and you can't help but looking at the words that Harry Kane is saying and makes you think that he's not a happy camper. Let me just go through some of the comments as well. We don't just read super chats out on this. Haaland is 60 million next season, says Daniel 5. People talk about Haaland. Yes, but I think they're going to cash in now because they won't want to wait that long. Yassini says Owen got injured. He did. That's why he sort of lost it a little bit, but that can happen with Haaland as well.
Yeah, someone who, I know he doesn't have as many injuries as Kane, but he's not exactly playing 50 games a season, is he? He has injuries of his own, so it's not like, well, Owen got injured and that couldn't possibly happen to anyone else. That's what I'm saying. You're asking for price or money for potential with Haaland. I know he's already great, but he's not Harry Kane.
This is a good point, and this is something we will address tomorrow. James Flannery says, when's the next members video? It's been a while. It hasn't. It's been absolutely crazy with news and all the stuff that's been happening with the Super League and obviously the Glazers and the protests and all that sort of stuff. But we have got some members' content coming up, so we appreciate all your support of members, and we do put extra content on there. Extra content. So I've not been putting up, just the videos that we always put up on the main channel, but we will have some new videos going up on the members section very soon. So keep posted for that. And just also, Ross Murphy says Danny Ings is available. Would you take him? Remember, he played for Liverpool.
Nah. He's worse than everyone we've got now.
Yeah, I think Danny Ings is it's almost like it's a better one, but it feels a little bit like an Odi Nigalo scenario where it's like we can get someone just as a striker. I wouldn't mind Ings if we got, say, Kane, and then Ings was on a free and you went, we'll get a backup then.
Yeah.
Just because that way we've got lots of options. We've got Cavani, we've got Kane, and we've got Ings. Fucking hell, all right. You mean business here, don't you? I don't see it happening.
No,
I don't. To be honest with you, I don't see a scenario as well where Ings becomes that sort of an attractive proposition. But we shall wait and see. Hit the like button quite a lot. You're watching, which you appreciate. Loads of support, good stuff. Hit that like button and do get involved in the comments as always. We'll whiz through the rest of this, as they say. Sancho, the other target, stroke person we've been associated with. And it's, I'm not again, in it. Chelsea to offer 80 million for Sancho. Will interest from Chelsea make it harder to sign Sancho?
It would make it a bit harder, wouldn't it? But they're not going to sign everyone. They're linked with every fucker we're linked with. They're linked with Varane, they're linked with Koundé, they're linked with Sancho, they're linked with Kane, they're linked with all... They're not going to buy all of them. I know they did last season, but this season they're not. And I know Chelsea spend a lot of money, but if you actually go through and look at Chelsea's recent transfer windows, they haven't had one like last season in ages. They haven't done a 250 million or whatever transfer window in half a decade, half a dozen years. It's been a while. So I don't think they're just going to spend another 200 million this summer. I think they'll pick wisely. They'll probably get a centre back because I think that's probably where they're at their weakest. Maybe another attacker because Ziyech's been okay but not great. Werner, you could say the same. But I don't think they're just going to get Sancho and fucking Kane and Varane because, well, they've got a billionaire owner, so surely they spend 250 million every season because they don't.
They don't. I just want to read a super chat for you because I think it's ace this.
Go on then.
United Forever podcast says, at Joe Smith, any chance of a late night live end of season special? Me and my cousin, Adam Shagan, do a Poundland version of Smith's puns on our pods to keep the tradition alive.
Oh.
We miss ye old banner. I fucking love
great.
that.
I tell you what, I might do one on Twitch.
Yeah?
I might do an end of season one on Twitch.
Do that, mate, because that's quality. That. Yeah. I love the fact that people watch you, love what you do, and then keep it going. Good stuff. And I do miss the late night lives. They were fucking ace. Also, Danny Shields in the comments says, in the chat, says, Haaland has 39 games in 39 goals in 40 games. Prolific in Champions League. The highest level. He's not going to get worse. May well be true.
I still don't think he's as good as Harry Kane.
I think that.
Mario Gomez got 40 goals in a season for Bayern Munich. He's not.
I used to fucking have some rows about Mario Gomez.
He's a good striker and a very good finisher. Bas Dost gets 40 goals a season for fucking wherever he's at now. Sporting Lisbon, is it? Like, he's a very good striker, good finisher, Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, but he's not as well rounded as Harry Kane. And also, and I know it's a bit old-fashioned thinking nowadays, but you're not guaranteed to move to another country and just be able to replicate those numbers. Harry Kane is one of the best strikers in Premier League history already. You don't need to worry about him getting goals in the Premier League. And again, that might not be the case with Haaland, but for the sake of an extra 40 million or whatever it might be, and I just think you know what you're getting with Harry Kane, and that is one of the best Premier League strikers there is.
No, all good stuff, all true stuff. Damien Ahipeni, forgive me, as usual, says, why is Ings getting mentioned? We have Martial, or is he leaving? I don't think he's leaving. I just think people are questioning how much we can rely on him and whether Ollie still fancies him next season. You can debate that one yourselves. I think Ollie still has at least one more season in him of backing Martial. Ian Hamilton says, we either go to get Sancho this year or forget it. Can't do another window of whether we do or don't get him. Last summer was ridiculous. I mean, this may force your hand a little bit because last season we had a free run at him, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because of COVID, because no one else was really up for him. And it was obvious he was up for coming to Manchester United. Been in England before, obviously, with Manchester City. It looked like okay, this is going to happen. Didn't happen. Dortmund playing hardball. He's had not quite as good a season as the previous one this season, but he still had a good season. And won a trophy, which is a rarity for Dortmund. And yeah, his price tag has come down because of the fact he's a year further into his contract. He's not had quite the season that he had. And also, Dortmund played hardball, and I mean, they may argue that they did the right thing because they kept him and got a trophy out of it, but United didn't go for it. No. They didn't go, all right then, we'll play the 120 million.
No.
They just went, all right, we're not having him.
No.
And, I'm not defending United because we should have fucking just paid it because it's our money anyway and we're wasting it on paying them fucking dividends, but we didn't.
No, and like you said, they put this price tag on him that was too much money, really. No one else was after him, and it didn't come off. And again, back to the Kane thing, it's a similar comparison where we've seen CEOs of Dortmund coming out and saying there is a gentleman's agreement in place with Sancho that if the right offer comes in, we'll let him go. Which again lowers the price. It just does. When a player is available, they are instantly worth less than if they aren't available. And obviously there's always a price on everyone, but if someone's essentially up for transfer, as in if a deal comes in, we'll sell him. Like right now, I would consider Marcus Rashford to be off the market. Obviously, there is still a theoretical price. I think if someone offered 200 million from him, we might take it. But in terms of a player, Marcus Rashford is not on the market. There is no, he is for sale, there is none of that, which would mean his price would be more, isn't it? Obviously. Whereas Sancho is someone who's very clearly on the market. If the price comes, he will be sold. So I think there's a very good chance that he does get sold this summer. The fact that he hasn't had quite a good season, it's quite as good a season. The fact, and I do think this matters, especially to English clubs, is he, if we're being honest, he hasn't ever quite done it for England. And I
said this
a few months ago
because you might have noticed people who watch this channel. You're quite sort of educated with European football and stuff, and some of the other people on the channel are. I'm proper basic Bob me. I watch a lot of Premier League, I watch England and internationals and stuff. I don't watch as much. I watch Champions League and a bit of Europa. I don't watch Serie A and League One and La Liga as much as I should do, and I'm trying to improve on that. But from what I've seen of Sancho, is mainly for England.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Dortmund, obviously, he missed some of the Champions League games. He's injured this season. I've seen him in the past. But for England, he's been anonymous at times.
Yeah.
Now doesn't mean everything,
No, of course.
Lots of great players don't have amazing games week in, week on, game in, game out for England. But it was a bit like, okay, if we're looking for slight flaws here, if we're going to play devil's advocate and think, all right, why is there a reason not to sort of go all out for him? One is, there's been times when there's been question marks about his attitude towards training and stuff. I hate using the word attitude of players, but there has been question marks around that, and we've had German football experts. Then we had Patrick Berger on and Florian Plettenberg as well. Both covered German football. Were saying like sometimes it has come up in discussions and public discussions about sometimes he needs to buckle down a bit more. So there's that. There's the fact that for England there's been games where you go, fucking hell yeah. Like there's one game I can't remember, game where he got subbed, and that was like I noticed him when he was getting subbed, and I think, fucking hell. Now again, you can't look too much into that because it's not really, it doesn't prove everything. But it's just something to be wary of when you go in like massive money for a player, because really and truly, if you look at Angel Di Maria is a great example. There was question marks there about Angel Di Maria, and we ignored them all. He didn't really want to come here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
He's not a player that, if he doesn't want to be here, does he want to even be in England? Is that going to be a problem? Don't worry about that. Look at the team he's got around him and how he fitted into that team. Don't worry about that. Look at the manager who doesn't really know what to do with him. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You have to consider all these things, and you consider them properly. Fergie was a genius at that. He considered not just whether the player was good enough, would he fit in the system, would he be settled?
Is he the right kind of personality?
Yeah. Is he a Manchester United player mentally wise? And it's like, is Jadon Sancho fitting our bills? Now, personally, I'd love to see Jadon Sancho United. I think he would rise to the occasion, and I think he'd be a very good he'd be the right-hand side of a three-headed attack of Marcus, Cavani and him, or whoever is, if it's Kane or whatever. And I think that would be fucking effective. And also Greenwood, who could come in any of those positions. But we have to be wary. This isn't a guaranteed. And usually when you spend 100 million quid on someone, you get a guarantee. You're going to get someone who's like, he'll get you goals. Don't worry about that. Is that with Sancho? Is he going to be as effective? Especially when, for me, the German league is so difficult to gauge because Mkhitaryan was amazing in Germany. Kaga was amazing in Germany. Yes, some players are. Aubameyang. De Bruyne. But some look unreal in Germany and then don't quite have it in him.
Jovic is another good example. Who went to Real Madrid. Perfect example. It was 65 million quid to pay for him.
You've got to be wary of these things. So it's just like, it's one of those that when you consider, my point I'm making is when you're considering spending a massive amount of money on someone, you have to look at it and go, are these too many worries to spend what potentially could be 90 million quid on someone like Jadon Sancho? Josh Kerlang says, Jadon Sancho has been directly involved in 21 goals in 19 games in all competitions in 2021. This year, he's had an amazing year so far, hasn't he? I think it was the beginning of the season where he wasn't as productive, but he has... Ankit Agarwal says, Timo Werner.
Perfect.
Great example, mate.
Havertz, another great example. Obviously, they've still got plenty of time to grow and improve, but they haven't come and hit the ground running at Chelsea. Werner's got more. He's got more goals than you'd think he's got. I think he's got like 13 goals in all competitions, and he's got a fair few assists as well. But when you watch him play week after week, he misses tons of chances for Chelsea. And Havertz, for the first half of the season, looked like he was a second slower than everyone else. Every time I watch Chelsea play, Havertz is looking up on the ball, getting dispossessed, turning into trouble, passing it back too slowly. So it's definitely a different speed and a different intensity to England than there is in Germany.
Werner fucking annoys me, and I'm not a Chelsea fan, with his offsides.
Yeah. He's offside all the time and he misses tons of easy chances.
Why? I mean, I could forgive him missing chances more than the offsides, because it's like, you're fast anyway, and you like stood offside when the ball's getting played. Like, what are you doing? Like, you better fucking sort it out for the Champions League final, I'm telling you now.
Should we talk about some United players?
Yeah, quickly. Magish Blomen-Vereld says, if we get Kane, does that mean Adam will redo the Get Kane video with those Birmingham lads?
Oh my God, I'd absolutely love him to do that.
I don't think he will.
You just got caned.
We'll try.
They're still knocking about because they're from Birmingham, so they'll be able to find them.
He says, these are the ones that he says aren't. He argues about this.
He can say what he wants, they are.
Like, I mean, does anyone pretend to be from Birmingham?
You just got caned.
Hey, is that a thing?
Yes.
Has anyone actually said I'm from Birmingham when they're not?
Yeah.
Really?
No, of course not.
I was about to say. Right, well, we'll move on quickly.
Yeah.
Who have we got next? Juan Mata. What's going on with him?
He's off, mate.
He's off?
Yeah.
Jose won him?
No, probably.
Oh, right, sorry.
Solskjaer might speak about future.
Producer Cam just shouted that was Matic, yes.
We'll be on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Is it time for Matt to move on?
Sorry, I've gone in the wrong order. That should have been Matic. I've done it wrong, but we'll go back to Matic in a minute.
I think it probably is time for him to move on,
Yes, he's lovely, right? We love, man. Do you remember when he stopped the coach to go and give Alex Neil the hug? Hey, that's amazing, that, isn't it? That's quality. Yeah, what is it when you give 1% of your wages and all that stuff?
Fair share.
Fair share. Is
common
it?
Goal.
No, it's not. It's common goal, yeah, thank you. Fair share Marcus. One of his. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So he's common goal, yeah?
Yes.
But Juan Mata hasn't been Juan Mata for about a year.
6 years.
6 years.
It hasn't been Juan Mata since he left Chelsea.
Yeah. No. Like, come on.
Right. Is it a coincidence, Jay? And I love Juan Mata, we all do, that all of the good things you said about Juan Mata were off the field actions.
Do you know what I think a watershed moment for Juan Mata was?
What?
We're at the Etihad. Right. We're 1-0 up.
Play.
We're 1-0 up in the semi-final second leg of the Carabao Cup. But we lost the first leg 3-1. So we need a second goal. Yeah.
Take it to extra time.
Yeah. We get a free kick. Now, thankfully, we have the second best ever Premier League free kick taker on the pitch in Juan Mata. Only David Beckham, I think, scored more Premier League free kicks. I know this isn't a Premier League game, but you get my point. We've also got Fred on the pitch, who I don't think could hit a free kick from my head to that sign.
No.
Like, I don't, right? Fred's standing over the ball, and I'm laughing. What the fucking hell does he think he's doing? And then Juan Mata stood over the ball. You think, yeah, Juan Mata, come on, last minute, you've got this, son. You can do this. Juan Mata stands aside and lets Fred take a free kick.
Knock it out of the bar.
Yeah, doesn't go in, bizarrely.
Funnily enough.
And I'm thinking, what the fuck is that?
You're below Fred in the pecking order.
Yeah, what's going on here?
On the right side.
That makes me almost think, like, what is the point anymore, Juan?
Yeah.
And he's still a good player.
Yeah,
I just think, like, does he think he's still a fucking Manchester United player? Does Ollie still think he's a Manchester United player? Or is he just there because he's a nice guy to have around the changing rooms? We're not the Manchester United team that used to win the league in April anymore, where you can afford to have 1 or 2 players who are just, they can contribute 6 or 7 games a season and everyone likes them. We need every member of our squad now to be useful. And I love Juan Mata, I really do. He's one of my favourite ever United players, and I mean that, he fucking is. He's quality, right? But I don't think he offers as much, and I don't think he offers enough. And people may go back to old videos and say, oh, Jay, you've changed your fucking tune. Well, I have changed my tune because I looked at the full season, and you look at where he's been, what he's done this season, and I know I think he lost, was it his dad or someone? I get that. I'm not belittling that at all or dismissing it. But we have to look in terms of football, how much does he offer? Is he going to get many games?
And what is the likelihood of him to offer more than that in the seasons to come?
Yeah.
Because you can look at off the field things, and you can look at someone like Jesse Lingard, who I think has had, equal or, not let's pit them against each other, but his own off the field problems. But the difference with Jesse Lingard is he's 28. So there is a potential for him to get better next season and better the year after that. Yeah. Juan Mata's 32, 33. He's not going to get better, and he's not going to get any quicker, and all these sorts of things. So we love Juan Mata, we all do, but I think we can all agree it's probably time for him to move on.
Someone's saying you all have an agenda on Fred, right? We've been doing this for 59 minutes, and that's the first time I mentioned Fred, and we've literally mentioned practically every player in Manchester United's fucking squad. I haven't got an agenda with Fred, yeah? I just want him to play a bit better more often, that's all. And
You're not allowed to want that, Jay. If you want him to play well, that's an agenda, mate.
Everton game was singing his praises at the Etihad, outside the Etihad last season. I said apologies to Fred if I've ever doubted you. But if you think Fred's consistent enough, then you must be on fucking different drugs than what I used to take. Should we
move on?
Should we wrap it up, actually? Paresh.
We've got a Matic one yet.
Paresh Shavaran in the chat says Bamford is a good prospect for future after Cavani. Darren Cox says, I don't know about Bamford. I don't know if Leeds will sell him to us, but I get where you're coming from. Darren Cox says, we need money on the pitch. I love Mata and De Gea, but I think they both need to go so we can reinvest on Sancho and Rice or whoever. Quickly then, Nemanja Matic.
Roma, happening. I see this one happening. Jose Mourinho likes Matic. He's just getting to the age where he's not really good enough for Man United anymore. Get him to Roma. Next, Maguire. You saw, right, here's a good one. We can't leave this one out. You saw Harry Maguire tonight. Look at you. Show me your wristband. Show me your little ticket. Get it out of your little pocket. Look at that. What's that say on it? Read that.
Special.
No, it doesn't say special. It says...
Jay is special. No, Fergie's busy. It says there. Jay and Fergie are best mates.
No, it says... The Ferguson never give in. Media,
mate.
Yeah.
You fucking worry about that.
It doesn't say special though, does it?
I drew it on myself.
Jay was at the premiere for the aforementioned documentary tonight, and he saw Harry Maguire.
Yeah, because they wanted to give a premiere for this film. They wanted to give Alex Ferguson a premiere, obviously. Bit difficult with COVID, so they had one at Old Trafford, limited numbers.
Although they will let any old twat in if he asks nicely.
Any old twat from Salford can just sneak in if he puts a suit on.
Or half a suit.
Half a suit and wanders around with a muff on his mic going, excuse me, where are the press going today? Oh, over here, right, I'll just stand over here. No, my name's not, don't need to check my name, you know who I am.
Don't check that. Fabrizio Romano, it's on the list.
Yeah. You're not Fabrizio Romano.
You are.
Yeah, I know.
So we've seen the picture of Harry Maguire with no crutches, he's walking. You actually saw him walk.
Yes.
You saw the movements of the man. Manchester United's captain has been out with an ankle injury for about 2 weeks now. What did he look like when he was walking with no crutches and no boot on, Jay? Tell me.
He looked like a man who didn't have an injury. Now, I'm not a fucking doctor.
Case dismissed.
Got X-ray eyes, and he might have an injury that prohibits him from playing football in a European final. But he looks like he was just walking normally, which whenever we've seen him at Old Trafford previously, he's been on crutches with that special boot on.
Special boot.
So it gives me a little bit more optimism.
Football boots, they're called.
I thought they were called something else.
No.
So it makes me think that maybe there's hope for Harry Maguire because it's looked like it wasn't happening.
I still think it's very doubtful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at least we know he can walk. So update is, football player can walk when thought doubtful.
I like that.
That is an update.
You've done a really good fucking job with that then.
Summarised it.
Yeah, summarised it. Eh?
Summarised it and all.
Reports suggest...
Yeah, reports coming from you. You're the first-hand news story tonight, Jay. How does that make you feel?
Special.
Yeah.
Special, like me badge says.
Like you've Tipp-X'd onto your badge, spelt wrong. It says...
Special with a Z, because I'm always reading those foreign papers. Right, we're going to wrap it up there. We've got other stuff to talk about, but it's been an hour, and obviously we appreciate the fact that you don't want to listen to me and him going on for too long.
That is worth talking about, though.
Yes.
Tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, Jay interviews not just the greatest football manager of all time, but arguably the greatest man and most influential figure in Manchester United's history, right up there. I mean,
Football's history.
Football's history.
In football's history.
It's him and Matt Busby.
Yes.
That is literally
I'll give
it.
you that one, yeah.
It's as big...
Equal.
It's as big a person as you can get in Manchester United folklore. Sir Alex Ferguson meets Jay Motti coming tomorrow at 1 p.m.
We're going to try and make this a regular part of the show.
Fuck off.
I mean, I don't rate my chances of doing that, considering I've only interviewed him once in 41 years. But I'll try. Yeah? We'll try and do it every week.
Just 30 seconds before you go. What was it like? How did it feel?
Right.
You saw him, so you were stood waiting and he came to you?
Yeah, because they bring him along and then they're like, sort of, telling us where he's going to go. And big shout out to Hits Radio as well, who I work for, who invited me along. And you can check out the interview on radio as well with their reporter too. And yeah, you could bring him along, and I was like, right, me and the Hits Radio report were like, right, he's going to ask a couple of questions, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. So he's like, right, get him to stand there. So my first sort of words ever to Sir Alex were, Sir Alex, can you just stand there? So I'm telling him what to do.
And you pointed to a box that you'd drawn right in front of your toes.
Yeah.
So you were like that with him, weren't you? So Alex, can you just stand in that box there?
Like, security were like, we spoke about this, Jay. That's not happening.
Hi, Mr. Alex. What's it like being into footy?
That's it.
I can smell the trophies. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so we asked him to stand, and then Tom asked the reporter asked him a couple of questions, then it was my turn. And we just said, just going to get the mic there and that. So Alex then asked him some questions about football and that. I may have asked him about the 1991 European Cup Winners' Cup final.
Unbelievable. The audacity for you to do that.
He smiled. When he smiled, he was telling a story and he started smiling. I'm not going to lie. My knees got a little bit weak. My lip was going. And I was like, this is really happening. So really just having a laugh with me. Oh.
Sensational.
Yeah, it was, because I'm a fanboy. I'm a fan, first and foremost. Never got to do it before. It was absolutely amazing. He was great, and you're going to see him on the channel tomorrow. So we'll have that at 1 o'clock, like Joe says. And I was
so jealous, so proud of you, and happy for you as well.
Yeah, it's good, and these are the reasons why we do this sort of thing. And we love football, we love Sir Alex Ferguson. It was a nice treat for me, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as well.
And you know what, Jay? A treat for him as well. Because he's used to talking to these squares, these CEOs, these big...
I mean, they didn't ask him about the 1991.
They don't interview him with gazelles on and jeans.
Exactly. I
came
buy
in
a full
costume.
suit. Thank you.
Whereas you,
Hey, I was
Jay
in
Motti
Cannock
comes
Top.
along and he goes, finally, bloody salt of the earth like
Hey.
me. Yeah?
About
a real
bloody-
person.
About bloody time.
Yeah.
Hey, if I'd have had more time, I would have gone into deep
Yeah.
now. So like, you came from Govan, I came from, Weast. Well, not from Weast. I don't know why I said that.
Where are you from?
Well, I lived in Partington most of my life.
Partington?
Yeah, which is a bit like Govan.
Yeah.
Just not as north. So yeah, I could have said that, but I didn't have time. Maybe on our next episode we'll do that, because like I said, it's going to be a regular thing. Don't forget to check us out on socials as well. You can go and find him.
Sir Alex.
I know, it's all good, isn't it? Right, go check him out, Joe Smith 93. Thanks to everyone, loads of people getting involved in the chat. We appreciate it. All the comments. Sorry I couldn't go through all of them. But we'll be back tomorrow. We've got, I think it's Adam McCullough, isn't it?
Adam McCullough on the news in the morning.
News in the morning, live from his gaff. So go and check that out at 10:30 tomorrow morning. We'll also have the Sir Alex Ferguson interview, which I'm going to keep banging on about for the rest of my life. We're also going to have Howson's Brew. We've got a couple of special guests because our documentary cup runneth over, Joseph. Not only have you got a Sir Alex Ferguson documentary, who's probably, right, in the Premier League era at Manchester United Football Club, other than Sir Alex Ferguson, who's probably the most important, iconic, talismanic person associated with our club.
I mean, I guess from the way you're speaking, you're not talking about Raymond van der Gaal.
That's a very good guess, because I do like Raymond van der Gaal.
Probably Eric Cantona, I'd say.
That is it. That is him. So I'd love to say we've got Eric Cantona on the channel, but then I think I'd just explode, to be honest with you. But no, we've got the guys behind the documentary about Sir Eric Cantona. No, about Eric Cantona.
Should be.
Yeah.
If only he was English.
Yeah. So they'll be on here on Howson's Brew, so you can guarantee me and Steve will be talking about all things Eric Cantona related with them, and maybe throwing in some references to the 1991 European Cup Winners' Cup final, which won't make any sense whatsoever because he didn't play in it. So check that out tomorrow. We've got you covered, and also we'll be looking ahead to the Wolves game. I won't be here for a watch along, so you don't need to go anywhere else. Just come to this channel. It's all happening. Yeah. Don't forget to check him on socials. You know where I am. And hit like, share, and subscribe. This has been Stretford Paddock Transfers Live. Thanks for watching.